Okay, so we're going to take a look at Android M, and just a reminder before we start that this is the developer preview, so it's not the final build that will come out later this year, so things may change, and we're running it on the Nexus 6. So there's a number of new features which we're going to show you. The first of which is on the lock screen. It's quite a small change, but if we look down here in the bottom left corner, this would normally have a phone icon so you can quickly get to the dialer and make a phone call. It's now a microphone so that you can swipe from the left and open Google to start your voice commands. So that's one very small change. If we open the app drawer, which normally is in landscape and you swipe from side to side, is now in a vertical list, and all of your apps are now split up into alphabetical order in different sections for each letter. So if we use the scroll bar on the side, we can scroll down and choose what letter we want and get to those apps nice and quickly. You'll also notice that there's 4 icons at the top, and these are your most recently used apps. So every time you come in the app drawer, it's going to show you which apps you've used most recently. The drop down bar is still the same with your quick settings, and you still can't move these around as standard, but Google has added a way of editing the quick settings. It's a little bit clunky at the moment, so we hope that the functionality will just be to long press and be able to move stuff around. But at the moment we've got to head into the settings, scroll down to the bottom and switch on developer options. So we do that. I've already switched it on the Nexus 6, but if you want to do it, switch on developer options by going into About Phone and tapping the build number until it says you're a developer. Then when you tap back out, you're going to have developer options. In here we can switch on the System UI tuner. Once that's switched on, you'll see it at the bottom of the settings menu, and we can open that up. At the moment the only thing in there is quick settings, so Google may add more, and when we open this up, it means you can add tiles to the quick settings, and now if we long press we can drag them around, rearrange them. It's a little bit buggy at the moment, of course, because it's the developer preview, but we can actually now move things around within the quick settings, and when we're done this will now show in here. A little bit difficult to show, but Android M now has something called doze mode, which means when your phone is switched off, sitting on the desk, and you haven't used it for a while, the sensors will know that you're not using your phone and put it in a deep sleep. And this is going to help battery life, so while you're not using it, it's going to use less power. You'll still get notifications, but it will use less power than normal. And what we've found using the Nexus 6, just leaving it with the screen off on a desk, it's actually lasting a really long time. We've had it running for around a week now, and we've used about 75% battery, so that's looking good. It's now easier to uninstall apps. So previously you had to go in the settings menu and find apps and delve down into the menus, but now from the home screen, if you've got an icon, we can literally long tap, and instead of just removing the icon, there's now this bin icon with the uninstall, so we can just literally drag it in there, checks whether you want to uninstall it, and we can hit OK, and that's going to uninstall the app from the phone. So that's a lot easier. There's a new feature been added to Google now. So when you're doing stuff on the internet, perhaps you're talking to a friend, whatever you're doing on the phone, you can now access Google Now with something called Now on Tap. Basically means every time you're in an app, you can long press the home button and call up Google Now. It's not fully working in the developer preview, but the cards will come up, and Google Now will already know what you're talking about, what you've been doing. So if you've been talking to a friend about meeting up, it might offer you some directions to that venue that has been mentioned or similar. So we're hoping this will be a handy new feature of Google Now. App permissions has always been something in Google Android that has been a bit of a moot point, because any app you install, you have to accept all of its permissions to even install it on your device. But with Android M, you'll be able to actually choose what permissions apps are allowed. So if we go into apps, choose an app, even Google's ones like Google Maps, we can now hit the permissions option, and now we can choose exactly what permissions we want that app to have access to. So obviously location is pretty normal for a map app to have, but if we don't want it to have access to our contacts lists or the telephone or other permissions that it wants, we can deny and basically switch off those permissions, allowing it only to have location, which is pretty cool. A small change but a valuable one is new volume control. There's now a drop down bar, and we're getting 3 volume controls, one for the phone, one for notifications, so that would be your ringtone, one for notifications and one for your alarm. So that's a nice easy way of choosing your volume separately. And within the quick settings, I forgot to mention that we do have do not disturb straight in the quick settings now. So there's a few other features that are not visual but we want to mention anyway. So Android M will come with Android Pay, which is kind of the next part of Google Wallet, if you like. So this will be a rival to Apple Pay and Samsung Pay. Uses the NFC chip in your phone if you have one, so that you can go into shops and use your phone to pay for items. Android M will also support fingerprint scanners as standard, even though we've already got devices on the market with those. And it will also come with USB Type-C. So this is what you're probably used to, which is micro USB, but the Type-C version will be symmetrical, so you can plug your cable in either way round. It will charge your phone faster, and it will also mean that you can charge other devices from yours. And that's a quick look at the new features of Android M.